Alright. See, Twitch. Okay, everything is working as it should. There's a lovely Twitch ad for the upcoming Halo series. New season on Paramount. Alright. Chat's up, streams up, we're all good to go. 19 in the lobby. I think we might be able to get a full grid together. Time will ultimately tell, but still, if we end up with 19, that is not a problem. Hey, Jack. Hope you're doing well over in Melbourne. To be fair, I'm quite surprised we've been able to put a grid of this size together. I would have thought a few more drivers would be down at Albert Park or in and around the Melbourne region. So no, a good effort from the Tier 1 boys. Put this together. Alright. By the time it's 0, start up as per normal. Get this show on the road. And I reckon it's gonna be a long one. Hello everyone and welcome to round 5 of the Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and for tonight we'll be competing at the Marina Bay Street Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. Constructed in 2008 and designed by track-making Supremo Herman Tilke, Singapore is a well-known circuit for hosting the first ever night race in Formula One history. It's also well known for being one of the longest races to complete on the calendar. Average speeds achieved around this 4.94 kilometre circuit is easily one of the lowest in the season. The layout consists of 19 corners, many of which are either acute or 90-degree bends, which drag down speeds and bump up lap time. It also features 3 DRS zones that lead into the prime overtaking spots of Turn 1, Turn 7 and Turn 14, all of which the drivers will need to take full effect of to try and pass around this famed city circuit. Now, before we touch on what will be happening out on track, there's some news to go through first from last week's race in Jeddah, and boy are they doozies. Now, after the events that took place between Daniel Koo and Dutchy that we saw on stream, it was announced by tier coordinator Bags Liddell that both drivers would lose their full-time seats and move to reserve roles for the rest of the Pacific Tier 1 Championship season. So they're both here for tonight, but they're no longer competing full time. If there's enough reserve seats open for the rest of the rounds, they will be here more than likely for each and every one of them. But yeah, they no longer drive for their respective teams, so we'll be seeing them darting all over the place over the course of the season. And from what I've gathered, there's been no announcement on their replacements either. Now, there were penalties dished out by the stewards for the incident that took place. Dutchy would receive a 10-second time penalty and 2 penalty points, which moves him from 5th to 11th in the final results. On top of that, he would receive a qualifying ban for illegal blocking during qualifying, which resulted in ACW retiring from the session. Daniel Koo, for his actions, would be disqualified outrightly from the race. He ended up scoring no points at Jeddah, but he was disqualified regardless for what he did in that incident. There is one final incident that we saw on stream that happened on the final lap of the race. Seb Spicer getting hit in the rear and spun round by Luke Rockford. The stewards deemed Rockford at fault, and he received a 10-second time penalty and 2 penalty points for the incident. He moves from P3 to P9 in the final results, promoting Grid Jokes onto the podium, his first of the season. Now, in the Drivers' Championship, it's Crichton leading the way. He's won 4 on the trot. He's on 120 points. Matt Plevy is P2, 57 points behind on 63. Next is Grid Jokes on 54, then Seb Spicer on 49. Ferrari Pro rounds out the top 5 on 47. In the Teams' Championship, Mercedes are leading on 129 points, with Ferrari 19 behind on 110. They've got a considerable gap over McLaren. They're on 67, followed by Haas on 63 and Red Bull Racing on 62 points. Now that's pretty much it in terms of news we need to get through after what happened over in Jeddah. We can now focus on this here qualifying session, one of the more important ones of the season, that's for sure. Mr. Stevenson on screen right now is the first driver to attempt a flying lap. See if we can't find someone to give you a full tour of the circuit. Where's Seb going through? He's going through the final chicane. Might ride on board with the McLaren driver. Got pole over in Saudi Arabia. He'll be hoping to replicate that here in Singapore. Down the main straight, he begins the flying lap as we head up towards turn 1. Down to 4th gear, clobbers the inside curve. Clobbers the inside curve at turn 2 and around the left-hander of turn 3. Now around the small kink of turn 4 and up towards turn 5, a critical corner, as the exit speed here determines how much speed you can carry down this flat out section towards turn 6, and more critically turn 7, easily the best overtaking spot on the circuit. 4th gear, clip the apex, back on the power, so we head up towards turn 8, down to 2nd gear. Back on the power, get close to the barrier on the outside as we head around the left of turn 9. Down towards the Singapore sling, turn 10. On the brakes briefly, down to 4th gear. Back on the power as we head through the chicane of 11 and 12. Over the Anderson Bridge, we head into the hairpin of turn 13. 2nd gear, missing the apex by a decent chunk there. Decent enough exit though, as he opens DRS and heads up towards turn 14. On the brakes at the 100-meter board, down to 2nd gear, short shifts up to 3rd, using plenty of the road on the outside. We head around turn 15, down this medium length straightaway, in towards the final chicane of turns 16 and 17, 4th gear. Eventually reaching full throttle, we'll now head around the final 2 corners of 18 and 19 to complete the lap. Seb Spicer jumps to P3 with a 28.6. ACW jumps to 2nd with a 28.4, but it's Grid Jokes who's at the top of the board with a 28.2. Championship leader Crichton making his way around turn 5, down to 4th gear. He eventually reaches full power just before he reaches the outside curb. Absolutely flat out all the way up towards turn 7. Down to 3rd gear, back on the power as we head up towards turn 8. A cheeky overtaking spot as Duxie, as he has to, retires from the session. He'll be starting from plumb last as Crichton almost put it into the wall and out of qualifying. He definitely put it into the wall. Thankfully, he didn't shove it in nose first. Otherwise, that might have been serious trouble for our championship leader. Matt Plevy has already invalidated, I would guess, through turns 1 and 2. It's quite easy to do that there. Around many of the corners around this 4.9 kilometer circuit, you have to try and cut as much as you can to try and maximize apex speed. Cut too far though, well, the game doesn't hesitate. It will give you a warning and that will end your flying lap. Crichton, a little distraction from the Alpine in front. Come around the final turn and cross the line. Jumps up to P2. He is just under 600ths behind our provisional pole sitter, who is still Grid Jokes. Bags Liddell out on track. Same with Seb. If you're looking for a solid performance here at Marina Bay, I'm sure. Matt Plevy, I'm guessing, is going to go back into pit lane, put on another set of tyres and have another crack. No, actually he's not. He's going to complete this lap. Well, what does the time give us? 28.6. I would have put him just in front of Seb Spicer. so up in the top 5. Seb making his way out of the final chicane and towards the final 2 kinks. These are some of the toughest final corners you'll encounter on the calendar. It's so easy to get it wrong through those 2 corners. Into turn 1, 4th gear, back on the power. Reaches full throttle for just a moment as he headed around turn 2. Now into turn 5, 4th gear. Reaches full power like Crichton just before the outside curb. Up towards turn 7. 3rd gear, back on the power. Using all of the road on the outside of the left-hander, around the right-hander of turn 8. And now turn 9. Using the full width of the road and then some. I reckon he just clipped the barrier just a little bit. Having to use every inch of track. Around turn 11. Then 12. Over the Anderson Bridge. And into the hairpin of turn 13. 3rd gear, back on the power. Uses all of the road on the outside. So he heads up towards turn 14. 1 minute 3.4 Seb's done to the middle sector. See what Bags can do. He makes his way through said middle sector. Up towards the Singapore Sling. Notorious piece of track this. Very easy to get it wrong. Nice and tidy from Mr. Liddell as he heads around the hairpin of turn 13. Seb, around the final corner, will cross the line and take provisional pole. Does a 28.171. Liddell, he does a full flat to the middle sector rather. I believe he's about 2 tenths down on Seb. See how he does through this final sector. Through the chicane of 16 and 17. 4th gear. A lot of throttle modulation there. Couldn't quite trust the car fully as he made his way around the apex of turn 17. He'll cross the line. He does a 29.0, 9th fastest, so he's inside the top 10. Daniel Koo on an outlap. Now driving in a Haas for tonight. We'll see him move around the field quite substantially as he's now in that reserve role. Farmer Sam out on track, same with Seb Spicer. In fact, he'll be the first of this lot to try and start a flying lap. We do have Ven on a flyer, making his way through the middle sector. Through 11 and 12. Have to be careful of those curbs. They're quite tall, quite nasty. Around the hairpin at 13. 2nd gear. Hits the apex quite well. Nice and early on the power too, as he makes his way towards turn 14. Clock says he's about 3 tenths down to Bags Liddell. So looking at 29.3 at this stage, which will make him more competitive versus Levi and Blake Stevenson. Through the final chicane, 2nd gear. Short shifts up to 3rd, up to 4th gear. Now 2 corners remain, 18 and 19. Fligs around 18, then 19. Crosses the line, does a 29.4. Still 15th, but a lot closer to his rivals. Levi making his way through the first sector. Eagle in the Mercedes-Benz making his way through turns 1, 2 and 3. Tricky little complex that. Very easy to invalidate a time through there if you abuse the curbs that little too much. Zach Warren up by 10th to the first sector. Bags Liddell back in pit lane. Seb Spicer up by a decent chunk to the first sector. He's up by 2.5 tenths as he makes his way through the chicane. Over the Anderson Bridge now, 5th gear. Brings it back down to 3rd, clips the apex. That was very nice and gets great traction as well with him keeping it in 3rd. Clock says to the middle sector he's found a whole chunk of time. He's looking at a 28 flat. Round turn 15. Up towards the chicane, 16 and 17. 7th gear, 290 kilometers an hour. Drags it down to 116. Using the full width of the road at the exit of the chicane, he heads around the final 2 corners and up towards the line. It's provisional pole. It's a 27.9. The first into the 27s. ACW responds well. He's up to P2. Zach Warren jumps up to P9. The other Aston Martin overtakes his teammate. Levi and Zach inside the top 10. Crichton up by a bit to the first sector, heading towards the middle sector split. He's up by almost 3/10, so he too is looking at potentially a high 27. His teammate Eagles jumps inside the top 10. He's done a 28.9 himself. Through the chicane. Using every bit of road on the exit there. Up towards the line now. P2, he just misses out by 18 thousandths of a second. Daniel Koo just finished the flying lap, if I'm not mistaken. Currently P8 with a 28.6. Nick Mann, I believe he's on an in-lap. Stevenson, he might try a flying lap, or he'll duck back into pit lane. It's the latter, with 5 minutes left on the clock. I believe that was Matt Plevy jumping up to P8 as well. On a 28.580. One of 3 cars in the 5s. Rockford and Farmer Sam the other 2. Roscoe Arm out on track. I believe he's on an in-lap himself. Seb Spicer, I'm sure he'll be happy with the time. He won't be happy that his nearest rival is that close behind. Only 2 drivers in the 27s. I'll be keen to see how these fellas respond. Like ACW and Seb. Can they get into the 27s? Rockford currently up. Crosses the line. Improves to a 28.229. P6 still though. He's a lot closer to his rivals. Only a few thousandths behind Grid Jokes and P5. Only 3/10 of pole position. Grid Jokes making his way out nice and steadily. Doesn't need to rush. Very tricky pit lane exit as well here at Singapore. Not often talked about. It's very easy just to turn in a little bit too early around that around turn 1. Clip the inside wall. Either damage your front wing, or worse still, you hit the rear of the car with the wall. Spin yourself out. Rockford, he'll be making his way back into the pits. We got Ferrari Pro on a flyer. Round turn 3, sporting a Senna-esque helmet. So he heads up towards turn 5. Sporting number 12 as well. That was the number used by Senna in his first championship winning season in 1988 with McLaren. Up towards the first sector split, Ferrari Pro is up by 2.5 tenths. Third gear. Oh, maybe on the power a bit too soon. From that angle, it looked like the car understeered just a bit after the apex. Had to reset the throttle just a little bit to allow the car to rotate. Through the chicane. Over the Anderson Bridge and up towards the hairpin. The brakes, down to third gear, back on the power, gets nice and close to the wall, gets good traction as well. Similar to Spicer, using third gear around that hairpin. He's up by half a second. With that kind of improvement, he'll get into the 10. To challenge the front runners though, he needs a pretty magical final sector. Up towards the chicane, 16 and 17. On the brakes hard, down to third gear, back on the power. Gets nice and close to the wall. As he heads around turns 18 and 19 to complete the lap. There's a 28.5. He goes in front of his teammate, but not by much. Only a few thousandths of a second. 27 to be exact. Farmer Sam out on track. Grid Jokes making his way towards the final chicane. That McLaren behind, is that Spicer? It is not. It must be Stevenson. Keep our eyes on Grid Jokes then, as he sends it around the final 2 turns to begin what will be his final flying lap attempt in this qualifying session. Into turn 1, 4th gear, back on the power, round turn 2, then turn 3, 3rd gear, on the power again, using plenty of road on the outside of the hairpin. Round turn 5, 4th gear. Close to the barrier. They're real comfortable, these guys, getting close to the walls. They're not afraid at all. Grid Jokes to the first sector split is up by almost 1/10 of a second. Seb, he's getting ready to start his final flying lap. ACW, he's still making his way round. Grid Jokes, round turn 9. Heading towards the sling now, up through the gears. Up into 7th. Back down to 4th gear, round turn 10. Then turns 11 and 12. Nice and tidy through there. Over the bridge, into the hairpin now. Down to 3rd, not bothering to use 2nd. Very tidy exit there. Seb making his way towards the first sector split. Grid Jokes towards the middle. He's up by almost 2/10. Seb is up by only 37 thousandths. Seb Spicer has invalidated his final run. His qualifying session is over. That's the benchmark for everyone else to try and beat. A 27.904. 2 corners to go for the Haas driver. Nice and tidy, keeping it within the white lines. It's good enough for pole position. A 27.8, a new benchmark. Crichton to the first sector split is down by 17 thousandths. ACW is making his way towards the first sector split. He's up by almost 1/10. Rockford's done. He's P6. Stevenson is 11th because he's beaten by Eagle. He jumps inside the top 10. Only a few corners left for Seb. Down to 3rd gear. Back on the power. 4th gear. Gets close to the wall on the outside as he heads around the final 2 corners. Is it enough for pole position? No is the answer. 4th he currently sits. Crichton is down to the middle sector split, so it's all down to the final sector. He needs to absolutely nail it through here. Up towards 16 and 17. It's so crucial he gets this right. 3rd gear. Tips it in through both corners, gets it round, keeps it out of the wall. Round turn 18, then the final corner of 19. It's not enough. P3 is where he'll sit for the start of this race. It will be Grid Jokes then. We will start from pole position. Farmer Sam, he's done. What about Nickman in the Red Bull? He's done as well. There we go. What an effort from the Haas driver in the 27.8s. He'll start from pole position. Spicer will start on the front row once again. Crichton just missing out on the front row start by 15 thousandths of a second. Oh, an excellent session of qualifying. Nice and tight, nice and competitive. Nice and tense too, when it mattered most. Grid Jokes will start from pole position then for the Singapore Grand Prix with Seb Spicer alongside him on the front row in P2. Crichton missing out, not by much. He'll start in 3rd with Seb alongside him in P4. ACW rounds out the top 5 with his teammate Rockford just behind in P6. Matt Plevy P7, followed by Farmer Sam, Ferrari Pro. Then Eagle rounds out the top 10. Blake Stevenson, P11, followed by Bags Liddell, Zach Warren, Daniel Koo, Levi, Nickman, Roscoe Arm, then. And then we have Duchy starting from the very back, serving a qualifying ban. He'll start from 19th on the grid. Not bad at all. Around a track as tricky as this, the fact that the top 15 are within a second of each other is credit to how competitive Tier 1 is at the moment. Qualifying has been spectacular. It's been fantastic to watch. I'll be keen to see how competitive these guys get in the race. It's a very long one. 31 laps around here does take a long time. The track is obviously quite a bit quicker than what it originally was, with the float section of turns 16 through 19 on the original layout being removed. For at least a period of time, we might see them return once all the necessary updates are made. But still, 31 laps, it takes a long time. Hello, 40. Nice to see you watching along. Now it's time for the race. One tough thing with night races, it's hard to tell when there's wet weather around. It's all just black, the whole sky. You can't tell if there's clouds up in there. I'm going to assume, though, it's nice and dry. I think I would have got a message about it if it was going to be wet, so... Dry race is a good race. But I wouldn't mind a bit of wet weather chaos. Some mixed weather conditions around this track tends to create some very interesting races. Shouldn't be far away now from starting. Hopefully. Maybe. Drivers must be real fiddly with their setups to take this long. There we go. Everyone's lined up, ready to race. We have 5 red lights. We're underway here in Singapore. It's a nice start from our front row. It's a nice start from Rockford as well in the Alpine. As we head towards turn 1, it's Grid Jokes who leads. Followed by Seb Spicer, then Seb in the Williams. A bit of carnage further back though, a bit of hip and shoulder as they head around turn 3. A bit of more hip and shoulder as they head out of turn 4. Side by side, Farmer Sam and ACW making their way around turn 5. Grid Joke still leads. The midfield has to negotiate turn 5 and they all do quite well. Around the kink of turn 6, Stevenson trying to crack inside the top 10. Bit of darting around further back as drivers squabble for position. Try and defend what they've already gained as they head around turn 8. Down the inside goes Liddell. Makes the move stick on Eagle. He moves up to P11. Eagle with the inside line though at turn 9, almost making contact. Both drivers get through unscathed. But good start from Grid Jokes. He's got half a second in hand already over Seb Spicer as they head around the hairpin of turn 13. Wide goes Spicer. Seb closes in. He's within 1.5 tenths of the McLaren as he looks around the outside at turn 14. Tries to outbrake Spicer and almost pulls it off to his credit. He's still got a nose alongside the McLaren as we head up towards the chicane. Seb looks to the inside, and down the inside goes Crichton. He tries to make a move stick. Ultimately has to back out of it as the two Sebs make contact, and into the wall goes the Williams. He has to pit, evidently with front wing damage. Oh no, it's not just damage. The whole bloody thing is missing. Oh dear. What a shame. That was good racing up until that point. Absolute shame as Plevy and Crichton battle away. That's for P3. Plevy gets the nose in front. He moves up to 3rd. And look at that. All that battling has resulted in the gap increasing to 1.9 seconds between the top 2. Matt Plevy up into 3rd on the medium compound tyres, so he needs to be racy. He needs to be aggressive. He's one of only a few drivers starting on the mediums. The majority of the field on the hard compound tyre. Seb, of course, who had to pit, is now on the mediums. I suspect he started on the hards. Through the chicane. Over the bridge and up towards the hairpin. No one in any sort of position to attack just yet. It's all just line astern stuff for the moment. But Spicer can't close in on Grid Jokes. The gap's still about 1.9. There's the possible race strategies. So lap 17 to 23 is the pit window to get off those hard tyres. I'll write that down for myself so I don't forget. Through the chicane of 16 and 17 and up towards the final 2 corners. A bit of a dramatic start, particularly between the 2 Sebs. But other than that, it's been pretty good from everyone in the field. See the position changes. To no surprise, Matt Plevy has made up a ton of places on those mediums. Everyone else just won't have the grip or the speed to try and compete with him right now. So he's up 4, Farmer Sam up 2, Stevenson up 2, Liddell up 2, Venn up 4, Dutchy up 3, and obviously the biggest loser after the start was Seb, down 15 positions. Running wide is Matt Plevy. I'll be keen to hear Spice's opinion on that. You see how wide Plevy went, abusing the track limits to gain advantage. Plevy has no interest in giving back the position either. He's got his sights firmly set on Grid Jokes, the race leader. There's the tyres. So Farmer Sam on those mediums, Zach Warren on mediums, Venn on mediums, and Dutchy on the medium compound tyre. See Crichton just shadowing Spicer right now, currently P4. I don't think he'd be liking the fact that Grid Jokes has got this margin going already. Don't think any of the hard runners would appreciate that at all. Except, of course, our race leader, who's driven superbly after the start, begins lap 4 of 31 with a 2-second lead. Matt Plevy, in response, has set a new fastest lap, 32.6. He'll be looking to try and close in on the race leader. Spicer hanging on to 3rd. Crichton close though. Nah, not close enough. Not close enough. See what's going on further back. Warren? No, not close enough either. Daniel Koo doesn't have the straight line speed to challenge the Aston Martin in front. Seb sets a new fastest lap. No surprises there. He's got clear air. He's got fresh tyres. No traffic. He'd be pushing like crazy right now. Probably driving in angry mode, I suspect, after what happened on the first lap. This is what you typically see out of Singapore. DRS trains. Not a lot of overtaking. Very difficult to pass. Oh, an opportunity though presents itself. Zach Warren, a poor run out of the hairpin. Daniel Koo closes in. Not by enough though to attack. Ferrari Pro closing in on Rockford. There might be an opportunity here for the Ferrari driver. Needs to string together a solid final sector. He'll be close enough, maybe. No, he's not. 3/10 back. He's too far away from Rockford to try and make a move here at turn 1. You can't get too flustered at this stage. It's only lap 5 of 31. Got a real long way to go in this race. It's always nice to try and gain positions early when the field's bunched up, but when you got these DRS trains forming, it's almost impossible to make moves. So it's all about time management. Just trying to make sure you don't lose too much time to the leader and to those that you're battling. Try and outdo your rivals with strategy rather than outright pace. The field will spread out eventually. When the pit stop rotations come in, the field will definitely spread out. And once it does, overtaking will become mind-bogglingly easier. A lot easier. So as of right now, there's not much you can do other than sit and wait. One person who ain't waiting around is Matt Plevy. With those medium tyres, he's cut down the gap to the leader. That's something that Grid Jokes does not like, because he's bringing along with him all the hard runners. Spicer, Crichton, ACW. They're all following the Ferrari. He's hunting down the leading Haas. Lap 6 begins of 31. And without DRS, doesn't need that extra boost down the straights. The extra speed he carries through the corners just cuts down the gap. Around turn 5. Onto the long straight. Gap now sits at 1.1 seconds. Up towards turn 7. Getting within the white lines there. Dutchy and Levi changing places. Dutchy up to 15th. And in the points, a bit of a wiggle there from Levi. Keeps control of the car, that's the most important thing. Bit of trouble for this group. Bags Liddell is currently 10th, and he's got 1.7 seconds to the car in front. It's a problem, he won't have any DRS assistance. Will leave him vulnerable to Eagle. Probably more importantly, it will mean he'll lose touch to the cars in front. Unless he can knuckle down and put together some pretty strong laps. It's going to be very tough to try and catch up. The gap towards the front now sits at a second. Matt Plevy will be able to line up something shortly, I'd imagine. He is low on battery, as you can tell from the flashing light. Also pretty even on fuel. You can see the yellow icon on the telemetry. Means he's basically even, sitting at 0. Flashes away, so yeah, he's pretty much sitting on exactly 0 right now. Seb Spicer, to his credit, has not let Matt Plevy drive away. And in respect to Greg Jokes, he's responded. Look at the gap, it's back over a second. So maybe those medium tyres starting to even out in terms of pace with the hard tyre. Gap sitting at 1.1. That needs to get within DRS range. Once those tyres fall off, he'll have no grip available to him to try and defend position, and he'll fall down the order. He needs to get within DRS range. Cuts the gap down in the hairpin. Closes a little bit at the exit as well of that corner. So Matt, as of right now, he's fairly even with Grid Jokes. Changing position further back as well. As I see, with ACW, the gap sits at 1.2 seconds. How vulnerable will he become to Farmer Sam behind? Maybe not very. You can see now with Matt Plevy, it's sitting at 1.4 seconds. The gap's increasing. Perhaps the same story will happen to Farmer Sam. His tyres will start to fall off, and rather than attacking ACW, he'll have to try and defend from Rockford. Keep our eyes on the leaders. 1.4. You can kind of tell as well that both Seb and Crichton, they just look a bit more threatening. They're a bit closer. They're hungry. They're going for position. 3 wide. Down at turn 7. Contact. And wide goes Plevy. Through goes both Crichton and Spicer. Into P2 and 3. Plevy down to 4th. Wasn't a lot of contact. Front left of Plevy's car making contact with the rear right of Crichton's. Crichton well and truly sending it. He's now got clear air. Can he try and hunt down our race leader? Down towards turn 14. DRS open on the McLaren of Spicer. Sector 2 yellows. Ven's retired. He has crashed out at the Anderson Bridge. You can see his dot stationary at the exit of turn 12. And that brings out the first safety car of the race. This will help the medium runners. They didn't look particularly great. You could see Plevy's pace was starting to drop off, and I think Farmer Sam was in the same boat. But this is where Ven's day came to an end. Grid Jokes is in. Crichton stays out. Spicer in. Plevy in. ACW in. Farmer Sam's in. Rockford. Ferrari Pro. Stevenson. Liddell. Eagles in. Warren's in. Same with Daniel Koo. Dutchy. Everyone's coming in. Bar Crichton. Medium's being bolted on. Hard's being bolted on for Warren. He started on the mediums. Gets out ahead of the AlphaTauri there. Dutchy, if I'm not mistaken. Directly in front of Eagle in the Mercedes. So everybody choosing the pit except our championship leader. We will be doing a few laps on the safety car. And I'm curious to see as well if anyone selected the harder tyre allocation. Will some of these guys pit back in for a set of hards and try and go to the end of the race? They'll meet their tyre compound requirement if they do. I'll be very, very curious to see if something like that happens. They won't pit onto the same set of hards. I don't think those will make it. But maybe a second fresh set if they chose the harder allocation. So, after the pit stop shuffle, these are the positions changed. Crichton up 2, Gridjokes and Spicer down 1, Matt Plevy up 3, ACW maintaining 5th, Farmer Sam up 2, Ferrari Pro up 2, Stevenson and Liddell up 3, Rockford down 4, and that's thanks to the double stack he had with his teammates. So he'll be pretty thankful about the fact he's still in the 10. Warren up 2, Eagle down 2, Daniel Koo up 1, Dutchy up 5, Levi, Nickman, Roscoe, they've maintained position. Seb, well, this is his golden ticket to try and make up some places. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. No one's pitting in for a second time either. Everyone's staying out. Don't really know if the mediums can go as long as 20-something laps. 22 laps I'll have to do. I don't really think that's possible. Those in the hot seat right now, we would have to say, Matt Plevy, Zach Warren, and now, rather ironically, Seb. He only did 1 lap on those hards. They're basically brand new. Pit in after getting damaged, got onto the mediums. Now he's back on those same hard tyres. He'll be trying to get those to the end, I'm sure. Crichton, our race leader, evidently believing that the medium tyres just won't go the distance, and maybe gambling on the idea that a second safety car will come out at some stage, which is entirely likely. We've still got 18 cars in the field. Singapore is easily one of the most difficult circuits we go to on the calendar. It's very easy to make a mistake here and end up in the barrier. Or alternatively, it's very easy to get caught up in somebody else's mistake and then end up in the barrier. Either or. And with the whole field caught up, this should be the last lap behind the safety car. Everyone's got their battery charged up. I might leave the telemetry up. We might ride on board with Crichton. Just be slowing down, letting the safety car go back to pit lane. Look back from his POV. Keep an eye on the telemetry. See when he goes. He's being nice and patient. Keeping a relatively respectable speed though of about 100 kilometers an hour. Making sure that the field maintains a decent pace. Make sure nobody crashes into one another. Safety car's gone back in. A very clean restart. Certainly it's not the most tricky in the world. Oh my word. And here comes Gridjokes down the inside. Heading into turn 1. Should outbrake him, he does. Gridjokes, whoa, lags himself into the lead. And lags all over Crichton. Gee whiz. But Crichton, a slight oopsie through the final corner. The car kicking out sideways. Managed to recover the slide, but as a result, he's lost the lead. And now he is going to be seriously vulnerable to those behind. Spicer down the inside. He can't outbrake the current championship leader. The Mercedes hangs on to second for now. Gridjokes, this is his time to shine now. He needs to put the hammer down and open up a gap as Ferrari Pro and Stevenson make contact as they head towards turn 10. Through the sling. Then the chicane. Over the Anderson Bridge. There's the race leader. There's Crichton. Everyone's stacking up. Side-by-side action further back as Ferrari Pro tries to get round Farmer Sam. Sam having a look, not committing to a move though. Again, everyone stacking up. Everyone getting through turn 14 pretty cleanly. Seb will have a hard time attacking on those hard tyres. He won't have the outright pace, but he doesn't need to attack right now. He can afford to be at least a bit patient. Wait for the medium tyres to wear out a little bit, and then he can start charging his way up through the field. Crichton now down in third position. Spicer up to second. Plevy on fresher hard tyres. Be looking to try and get by as soon as possible. Seen him dive it up the inside of turn 7 before. He'd be looking to get it done earlier. I don't think Crichton put up too much of a resistance to that. So Plevy up to third. Crichton down to fourth. And now ACW closing in. Round turn 9. Down this straightaway towards the swing. Over the curbs. Through the chicane. Everyone line astern. Proper choo-choo train as they head around the hairpin at turn 13. Everyone stuck behind the Mercedes of GeForce Crichton as ACW goes for a move down the inside. Not much that Crichton can do about that. Daniel Koo overtaking Eagle, that's for P12. And straight away towards the final chicane. Farmer Sam having a look. Needs to be committed on the brakes. Can't afford to be. Wasn't quite close enough to try and make the move stick. DRS is now enabled. Seb Spicer sets a new fastest lap. He's trying to hunt down the race leader. Sam having a look down the inside. Commits to the move. Gets it done. Fifth is his. Next is Ferrari Pro. Stevenson having a look as well. So we head towards turn 5. Right on board with Stevenson, who is low on fuel. DRS open. Battery turned on. Crichton half covers. Now leaves the inside line open for the Ferrari. They make slight contact. As they head towards turn 8 now, the Ferrari going round the outside. They make contact again. They make contact some more. They head around turn 9. Ferrari Pro's wide, almost into the wall. Crichton now has the inside line, but ultimately has to give in. Everyone checks up as they go through the sling. Oh, that's tight. There was no room there for Stevenson. Would have been much better off backing off. He now has a look down the inside here at the hairpin. Crichton can do nothing about it. He's up to 7th. Crichton down to 8th. Make that down to 9th. Liddell gets by. He's hurting now, but I'm curious. Will he be able to fight back later on? Something I've learned for commentating for this long, you never can count this guy out of anything. I have to keep an eye on him. Towards the front though, Grid Jokes with that clear track. Put together a brilliant qualifying lap and he's putting together a very good race here. He's got solid amount of battery to play with too, over 70%. Seb Spicer, almost half that. Doing his best to try and keep up with the leader. And there's Matt Plevy. Arguably the best place of the leading group. On those hard tyres, he should be able to make it. ACW Farmer Sam Ferrari Pro. Stevenson, Liddell, Rockford, that's a 10. Crichton under attack. Warren having to deal with Daniel Koo going through turn 9. The Haas driver can't find a way through just yet. Trying to draw alongside as they head towards the sling. Gets tight. Side-by-side action further back. Duxie and Eagle battling away. Over the Anderson Bridge. Into the hairpin at turn 13. Seb Roscoe side-by-side. It's tight on the exit. The Williams, though, gets in front. Warren, Daniel Koo battling. Oh, Daniel Koo in the wall, I think. He got awfully close to it. Duxie moves through. He's into 12th. These two on track. Next to each other again. No contact. Good to see. Around turns 18 and 19 and back onto the main straight. These fellas playing aggressive at the moment. Towards the front though, it's a bit calmer. Saying that though, Spice has responded to Grid Jokes. He has cut down the gap down to 1.5 seconds. Grid Jokes in that Haas, he's got some serious straight line speed. Pulled away by a couple tenths down that straight alone. Matt Plevy holding third. Further back, Warren, Crichton side by side. Duchy wants a piece of the action. He goes round. Daniel Koo down the inside. Makes contact with Duchy. Side by side, further back. It's the Aston Martin and Mercedes of Eagle and Levi. They make contact. More contact out of turn 9. Seb takes advantage. Moves up into 15th place as they head through the sling. Out of the chicane, over the bridge, and up towards the hairpin. Oh, big slide from Nick Mann in the Red Bull. Called it well. Duchy and Warren changing places again. Duchy's into the 10. They're squabbling real hard for these positions. Giving it everything. Through the chicane, up towards the final 2 turns. 5th gear, back up to full throttle, nice and early. Trying to slingshot his way down the main straight, but he's not close enough. Not yet, anyway. Crichton still soldiering on. I'll be curious to see when he pits and what he pits on too. Perhaps he's now just praying for a safety car. As Stevenson and Ferrari Pro change places, the McLaren down the inside. He's up to P6. Daniel Koo around the outside of Zach Warren. That's P11 for the reserved driver. Round turn 9. Gaps even out. Further back here though. See this train. All of these guys will be eager to get through. Round turn 12. Over the bridge. Into the hairpin. Maybe slight contact there between the two Mercs, and I mean slight. It looked like there was a slight kiss there. Just a little one. Crichton just no speed at the moment. No battery either. He spent everything to try and hang on to position. He just doesn't have anything to try and defend himself right now. Surely he pits. Has to. No, he stays out. What is his game plan? I wonder. Duchy, Daniel Koo. Worth keeping an eye out on these two. For more than obvious reasons. Here comes ACW on Matt Plevy. Those medium tyres should still be good. A few of those laps done were behind the safety car, so rather than 8 laps, are about 5 or 6 laps old. So they should still be pretty good. As Seb gets by Crichton as well. So Seb up to 14th in his recovery drive. They head around turn 10, then up towards the chicane. Meanwhile, our leaders, Grid Joke, Spicer, are now separated by less than a second. The McLaren driver giving it everything to try give Grid Jokes a run for his money. Grid Jokes, he's used a bit of his battery. He's down to 35. Seb Spicer down in single digits. Using everything he can to try and catch up. ACW now has a clear track ahead of him. We'll see if he can pull away from Plevy. Farmer Sam driving quite well here. Up in the top 5, looking good. Now troubling Mr. Race Spec. So they head around the final 2 corners. In fact, he might have a genuine crack on this lap. Maybe not here at turn 1. He'll need to string together a solid first sector. Then he needs a run out of turn 5. Position changes further back as Nick Mann, I believe, comes to pit lane. 4/10 the gap. Well, he's a bit too far behind, I think. Yeah, he is. It was a good first sector, but Matt, he put together a decent first sector himself. None of these guys are quite close enough to battle one another. Spicer is definitely close enough. Managed to recover a little bit of battery. Just a little bit as they head through the sling. Round the chicane. Up towards the hairpin at turn 13. The gap sitting at about 3/10. Using second gear in the race rather than third gear out of that hairpin. Spicer close, but not close enough. He won't go for the move just yet. HCW 4.4 seconds behind. Matt Plevy trying to stay within that 1 second range. You can see he's using the battery. Try and cut the gap down the straightaway. That sits at 7.5/10, so you'll still get DRS. He might use a bit of battery again out of turn 4. Oh, well that doesn't help. 3-second time penalty for Matt Plevy. Multiple warnings. Seb Spicer, 2.5/10 back. Is there a move coming, or will he stay behind? Rockford and Liddell change places. That's for P8 as Levi pits in. Around turn 7, Spicer won't go for the move. Matt Plevy has now got the pressure of Farmer Sam behind. Stevenson, P6, he's got Ferrari Pro directly behind him. Got a bit of a gap to Rockford. Oh, as Bags gets an average exit out of turn 8. Still in the top 10 though. He'll be looking to just try and keep with Rockford. That way gives himself the best chance of staying inside the top 10. Spicer won't be close enough to make a move just yet. What about Farmer Sam? I don't think he's close enough either. ACW has cut the gap down to the leaders. Warren's out of the race. Warren is out of the race. Where is he? Safety car has been deployed. He's actually crashed on the bridge. You can see his dot in a similar position to where Ben's was. It's despawned. But Zach Warren is out. What a crucial time for a safety car. In comes everybody, and I mean everyone. You have to pit. Doesn't matter if you're double stacking, doesn't matter at all. You come in, you get new tyres. Dutchie, a 5-second penalty for speeding. Thankfully ghosting's turned on there, because that double stack from Ferrari should have clogged up the fast lane. Front wing change for Rockford. I'll lose him time, lose him ground. Soft tyres, medium tyres. We got a mix-up of compounds. Look at them all of them different. What a fascinating development. We got soft runners, we got medium runners. There's a fair few laps to the end. Granted, some of them are done behind the safety car. Additionally, the cars are a lot lighter now than what they were at the beginning, as Nickman gets a time penalty, 5 seconds for speeding in the pits. These soft tyres bolted on. He'll come back in and serve that 5-second penalty, so it won't be added on post-race. Dutchie, though, is in a far trickier position. He's in P8. If he pits again, there goes all the track position. He'd be better off staying out and just serving the penalty after the race. Yeah, I too, Jackie. I don't think these softs are going to last too long. I reckon they'll be good for about 5 laps or so. But after that point, I don't know. These guys further back, I mean, why not risk it? Go on the soft tyres, see what you can do. They've got nothing to lose. Not too surprising then, those towards the front are on the mediums. One isn't though, and that's Farmer Sam. P4, he's on the soft tyre. He's going for the big one. He has to be in this position. 3 cars ahead of him, all of them on the mediums. He has to go for it. They're quite right. I imagine they will just cook themselves to bits. But I suppose if there's any drivers in here that can make them work, yeah, it'll be these types of drivers. Hey, Prezzo. Both the Prez and lads watching along. Dutchy's pitted. So he's going to sacrifice all that track position. He's going to serve the time penalty. And that's a set of inters. Now, the reason why he's done that is so then when he pits again, he'll put back on the soft tyres he had just a few moments ago. The problem with that, though, when he catches up to the tail of the train, and when Nickman catches up to the tail of the train, the safety car lights will go out and will go back to green. Which will mean that Dutchy might have just royally screwed himself. It could have been a complete accident that he pitted onto a set of inters. It might have been a complete accident. He might have been trying to fiddle his way through the MFD and accidentally selected inters. But yeah, alternatively, he could know something that we don't know. Maybe there's rain on the way. Like, who knows? He might be a genius. He might be looking deeper into the future. So, I guess we'll find out what he's doing. Hello, KD, as well. Oh. Yeah, I agree. The rock is dry. But rain might be on the way. Who knows? I don't get any forecast stuff, unfortunately. I don't get any of that information as a spectator, which is really annoying. But, I suppose, as they say la vie. Such is life. Don't always get what you want. So, luckily for these two, I suppose, they've dawdled around the track. They haven't caught to the back of the train. They'll be able to pit again. Matt Plevy is in the pits. He's going to get off these mediums and onto what? That is a set of intermediates. So, what it suggests to me now is that Dutchy, he's done this intentionally. There is no rain on the halo, anywhere on that halo. But evidently there must be rain on the way. That also kind of illustrates why so many people are pitted for softs. Roscoe Arm's done it, same with Levi. 4 drivers have done it. So there must be rain on the way. Yeah, those tyres are going to be on fire when the rain arrives. And they've got to hope when that rain arrives, it takes a lap at most for it to turn to intermediate conditions. Because if it doesn't, it could be spitting all at once. If the track doesn't change, the tyres don't work. So, this safety car has thrown a humongous spanner into the works. So when will the rain come? It's all just black. I can't see anything. I can't see a single cloud in that sky. There's no rain on the halo. That is the only marker I've got. In terms of weather, there is not a single raindrop on that halo. Anyway. Safety car is in this lap. We have got 7 drivers. There's the rain! There's the rain! It's just started! The safety car lights are out and the heavens have opened! Oh my word! Have those on intermediate pulled a blinder? Greg Jokes controls the field. What happens now? We have got 9 laps to go when Grid Jokes crosses the line. Who's made... That's a penalty for Ferrari Pro and a penalty for Plevy too. Crossing the line now. It's lap 23 of 31. The rain has finally started. How long will it take to change to intermediate conditions? Can the intermediate runners make it? Around turn 5. Onto the long straight. These guys on slick tyres, they need to send it. That's exactly what Liddell's doing. Seb's doing the same further back. Liddell around the outside. On the soft tyre, moves up to 5th. Those on the soft right now, they need to take full advantage of this. Make hay when the sun fades away, I suppose, and the heavens open. Through the sling, towards the chicane. The hard runners are losing time, but they're going to gain 28 seconds because of a pit stop. Maybe over 30. It is a slow pit lane. It's only 60 k's an hour. Takes forever to get through. Takes forever to enter, and takes forever to exit. Through the final sector. Oh my word, what did the leaders do? Through the chicane. Grid Jokes stays out. Spicer stays out. ACW stays out. They're all staying out. They have to keep going. Lap 24 begins. 8 to go. Running wide is someone. It's Daniel Koo. Ran awfully wide there. Ferrari Pro is in. One driver's in. There's no spray just yet, but it is sprinkling. Roscoe Armour, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Around turn 7, no one sending it except for Rockford. He had a look on Crichton, didn't fully commit to the move though. Sorry, that's Eagle rather. Eagle. I was looking at his tyres. I'm like, why doesn't that match? Crichton's on the softs. That Mercedes is on the mediums. That's because it's Eagle. Crichton in 11th. 1.3 seconds back. Nowhere near this battle just yet. Over the Anderson Bridge. And around the hairpin at turn 13. Bags Liddell. Not quite close enough on Farmer Sam, who's been unable to close in on the top 3. 1.3 seconds the margin. Top 3, Joke, Spicer and ACW, they're holding their own right now. Still no spray. Oh, side by side, Daniel Koo and Seb. Daniel Koo forced to cut the track. He gets a 3-second time penalty. No one pits. Onto the main straight as DRS is enabled. Sector 2 yellow flags, it's Ferrari Pro. He's got front wing damage as well. Eagle a 3-second time penalty. For multiple warnings, look at this drain. Proper mix up in terms of tyre compounds. Everyone trying to send it as hard as they can. Round the kink at turn 6. Liddell looks to the inside. Through he goes, into 4th. Oh, sliding goes Farmer Sam. Looking down the inside is Stevenson. They make contact. Stevenson manages to keep control of the car. Just about. So Sam down to 5th. Stevenson, 6th. Behind him is Daniel Koo. Ferrari Pro's retired from the session. He can't recover with that broken wing, so he's elected to retire. We're down to 16 cars left. Or hello, further back. Contact between the two as they exit the hairpin. Further in front, driver squabbling away. Stevenson looking around the outside. Can't get it done on Farmer Sam, who's continuing to lose time to Liddell. Stevenson down the inside now at the chicane. 3 wide almost. Contact, and around goes the Alpha. Oh, Sam, dear, oh dear. like last week, almost innocent, completely innocent in that. On the outside, had 2 on the inside of him, 3 wide, never works through there. Sam, he got the short end of the stick. Drivers pitting in for intermediates now. Others staying out. It's a big old gamble. Dutchy now leads in terms of the intermediate runners. Now reserve driver. After what happened at Jeddah, if he somehow wins this race, that's a massive recovery as the leader himself makes a mistake at turn 7. Crichton after third, almost goes into the back of Daniel Koo. It's a Haas 1-2, Mercedes 3-4. They have to pit, they can't stay out. There is no grip on that racetrack. It is wet. Look at the sheen on the racetrack. Plenty of moisture now. I mean, how we saw Grid Jokes make a mistake at turn 7, losing control of his car. As Dutchy passes Farmer Sam, so does Matt Plevy. Roscoe Arm in 8th place. He does have a time penalty though. He could be on for a podium if he can somehow break away from Spicer. ACW and Levi change places. That's for 10th. Can you believe this race? What a mix-up right at the end. I said it'd be interesting to have some wet weather chaos, but we sure as hell got it. Grid Jokes is staying out. He's risking it all. He'd rather crash out fighting for first and settle pitting in for inters and dropping down the order. All 4 of them do it as Dutchy closes in. 7.5 seconds the gap. And we got 5 laps to go. Plevy could be on for a win if it weren't for his time penalty. He's got 8 seconds next to his name. Yellows are out at Stevenson. Around at the final turn, he gets going again. Down in 15th now. Needs to try and stay there to try and score a point. Grid Jokes on those mediums. He won't be feeling too good on those. Same with, well, all of these guys on slick tyres. Dutchy's closed in by 4/10 through this sector alone. Cutting down that gap, and it's only going to get worse for those slick runners. Unless the rain stops right now. That is their only hope, is if the rain stops right now. It's only a brief shower. I doubt it will though. 6.8 is the gap. It's continuing to tumble. Spicer gets by the sliding Sam. It drops down to 8th place. He's doing the best he can with those tyres. None of them pit. I think they're committing to it. Win it or bin it is their mentality right now. Dutchy, 6.6 up behind. So he's closed the gap. What's that, by about a second or so. He's not closing in by enough at the moment to try and challenge the top 4. The rain needs to get worse. And I imagine it will as ACW gets by Roscoe Arm. 6.4 is the gap. Rockford gets a penalty. Look at Dutchy using up that battery. Stevenson retires. I think that's in pit lane. He's had enough for the night. The track is getting worse, but Dutchy's running out of time to try and hunt down the top 4, let alone go for the race lead. This was a ballsy call from our top 4, but they're making it work. I mean, driver of the day to all 4 of them, if they pull it off. Oh, Daniel Koo under pressure. He won't be able to hang on to second thanks to that penalty. But he'll try and stay on the podium. He and Eagle have the same amount of time penalties. 3 seconds apiece. Gridjokes, he's unchallenged right now. Just needs to keep it on the racetrack. Keep mistakes to a minimum. He'll know that too. Crossing the line now. Lap 29 begins. 3 laps to go. Daniel Coote, Crichton, Eagle. Then Dutchy, 5.2 behind. I am surprised. I am so surprised that the intermediates have not cut down the gap by a greater amount than this. The track is evolving, but very slowly. Bags Liddell. Roscoe Arm battling away. Liddell gets in front. Roscoe Arm now vulnerable to Seb. Levi in the pits. Going to get off those intermediates. I suppose not to mention as well, something to consider is that a number of those laps done by the likes of Dutchy and by Plevy, they were done in the dry. Those intermediates would have copped a pounding during that time. They're not pristine inters, unlike some of these guys who are battling for position. You can see Spicer has cut down the gap. He's now only 6.5 tenths behind Plevy, and I don't think there's going to be much competition between the two. DRS is still active, by the way. It's not shut off yet. Even the game recognises it is not wet enough. Yellow's out. It's Farmer Sam. That's who it was. Trying to work out who that was. It was Farmer Sam. In fact, I think it stopped raining. It has, look. It has stopped raining. Are you kidding? It was a brief shower. Oh my word, did I speak it into existence? It has stopped raining. And look at the track. It's almost bone dry. It's almost as if it never rained at all. You're joking. They fought and fought their way through the intermediate conditions, and it worked. Unpredictable. That's what that was. Unpredictable. What astonishing weather conditions. Those on the slicks were actually better off. What a gamble from both Haas drivers and both Mercs. Wow. That was a big, big gamble, and it paid off. Haha. Bags Liddell, a 3-second time penalty. He's battling away with Seb. And now these guys, they're on the wrong tyre. Their tyres are going to be cooking like crazy, especially those who pitted during the safety car period. They're going to be worst off of all. So, can Dutchy and Plevy hang on to their positions, or will Spicer get the pair of them? Time will ultimately tell. What a performance. Unbelievable. Gridjokes will head his way around the final 2 corners to begin the final lap. Lap 31 of 31 of what has been a properly peculiar Singapore Grand Prix. Crichton, there would be no point in Crichton battling for position. He knows that too. Unless, of course, he can try and help his teammates get onto the podium. The penalties will do the talking for the most part. So he'll easily get second. But can he help his teammate perhaps get third? Well, he's definitely not close enough here. He won't be able to do anything into turn 7. Further back, Dutchy's hanging on. Spicer just can't fight her way through. Spicer, I think, will ultimately have to settle for 6th. Further back, though, got battles aplenty. Farmer Sam moves in front. Rockford gets in front of Liddell. Can Farmer Sam jump inside the top 10? A sneaky top 10 after all that's happened. I'm sure he'll take that, especially after what happened at the final chicane a few laps ago. Well, through the final sector, for the final time, it's been a terrific performance from Gridjokes. Got his first podium of the season last week. After the stewards gave Rockford a 10-second time penalty. Grid Jokes will convert a podium from last week to a victory here at Singapore. A terrific drive from Grid Jokes. He wins the Singapore Grand Prix. Daniel Koo will cross the line in second. He will not stay there though. From full-time driver to reserve driver to podium finisher once again. And Eagle, his best result of the season so far, he finishes 4th. Dutchy, after what happened to him last week, finishes in the top 5. Spicer 6, followed by ACW, then Seb. Matt Plevy 9th. Farmer Sam will indeed finish in the top 10. Rockford 11th, followed by Liddell and Roscoe Arm. Nick Mann is next, followed by Levi. And it's raining again, look! It's starting to sprinkle again. What is this weather? I love it. What chaos. Oh. It took some proper good driving at the end of that to pull that off. Driver of the day goes to Daniel Koo, but frankly I'll give it to all of the top 4 surviving through the intermediate conditions like that, keeping the car on the island, not in the wall. She'll be pretty proud of that. But well done to Grid Jokes. Second different winner of the season. The streak is broken, though it's not a terrible result for Crichton. He's second, and what a day for Haas. A 1-3. Daniel Koo in third. Come on, game. Let's get through the loading screen. Come on. Oh, don't tell me I'm not going to get the final results. Not after all that. Yeah, cheers, game. I appreciate that. Game was interrupted while downloading F1 World data. Therefore, you have been disconnected from online services. Please reconnect. Try again. Have they released an update? Are you kidding me? Thanks, game. Okay. Well, perfect timing, I guess. Servers are under maintenance. Yeah, you showed me this already. Go away. Well, what a perfect way to end. What chaos. Showroom. That's where I wanted to go. And a different car that isn't a Mercedes, a Haas this time around. Well done, Grid Jokes. That was a terrific drive. Pole position to victory lane. A very nice night in Singapore for you, sir. Well done. And congratulations to our other 2 podium finishers. To think that the 2 drivers at the centre of that incident we saw at Jeddah both finished in the top 5. Not a bad effort, in all honesty. Not a bad effort at all. Especially considering that Mr. Dutchy started from the very back and finished in said top 5. Oh. But I think, folks, I will wrap everything up for tonight. What a weird race that was, particularly at the end. That was fantastic. Final congratulations to our top 3. But I think, folks, with everything said and done, it's now time for us to end the stream. I've been Lane Everingham, and I hope to see you all next week for round 6 of the championship at Albert Park for the Australian Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.